You can start.
Okay. We're Justin and Gillian Brickey. We have 4 boys, and we've been homeschooling about 8 years now. We had initially started with a standard accountability group. They call that Third Option here in South Carolina. And when we started with them, it was exactly what we needed for the time that we were in. Our kids were younger. As I kept moving in my homeschool journey, though, we started discovering kind of curriculum that wasn't quite working for us. We had a lot of questions, just a lot of things that as we grew our kids toward high school and toward transcripts, that I realized I needed more support than what I was getting from just an accountability group.
So when we've had questions, we're not just going to websites and kind of trying to figure out what the information might be. We can just call anybody here at the office and say, this is what we're thinking. Can you give us some feedback on this? And they give personalized, knowledgeable answers. Once you get into middle school and high school and things start to count, you actually start to look at the goal of graduating your children. There's a feeling of uncertainty. And SCAIHS was able to kind of hold our hand and say, all right, we see this is where you're going. These are some areas where you could shore up, and in some areas you're doing too much. And so they were able to give us a clear map to get to the destination of actually having our children complete their academic career well.
It made our transition to the American university system seamless. Our oldest just graduated. He's entering into a local university here in South Carolina. And for us, we're going to be overseas, and we live overseas, so we had questions about how will we make sure our children's transcripts align with American transcripts to make that a good transition. And because SCAIHS is registered here in South Carolina, it opened up a world of options. It also kept us on par with what we should be doing with our curriculum to make sure that he could enter into the universities here without a problem. We were able to be pointed in the right direction to find ACT sites actually in Spain where he could take his ACT there. And so we did find some sites, and he did have to travel to it, but I mean, I wouldn't have even thought to guess that he could do that overseas, but our counselors here were helpful in getting online and looking for where we could find American sites to do that.
It's not just calling and making sure they're looking over your list of classes that you need to take. It's personal, and it's listening to us, looking at our individual children, and helping us to set a path for each child.
Our counselor for us, she has been a personal support for me, woman to woman, a big support to us as a family. She's prayed for us, which has been the most that anybody could do for us. But she's also very creative. When I felt panicked about a curriculum I'd chosen that wasn't working and felt like, oh no, a class is lost, she had so many ideas for how to salvage what I was doing. And she also did it in a way that was loving and caring. I was so afraid I was going to be met with judgment in how I was homeschooling before I came to SCAIHS. But it was quite the opposite. It was actually a good job, Mom. You're actually doing too much. Let's see what we can do to make this easier for all of us. And I think all of us homeschool families need that validation that you're doing fine and that it is enough. And there were so many times that we had to pause homeschooling, that we had to pause the book work because what we were learning was way more than academic. And our children needed the space to just learn the faith that we were stepping out into. And we're in ministry. And so when he had needs, when he had events at church or when we traveled or whatever, we could take it with us as opposed to being, the kids and me staying home with the school system. We were free to follow him, and we were in ministry together, and our children were able to be in that ministry with us. So it was their ministry too, and they began to see their role in God's world too. So all those things came together with homeschooling.
The goal is to have children that are well-educated and well-rounded. And for us, SCAIHS has helped us to keep us in check as we are walking the fine line of well-educated and well-rounded. And I think that's what we've encountered through SCAIHS, having them encourage us through this whole process to say, what you're doing is okay. You don't have to do all the crazy. So that's where we are.
Yep.